Agree with it. Let's talk to Marco Longhi, Reform UK. Used to be a former Conservative MP, of course. Marco, very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Mike.
I mean, these people have got some nerve, haven't they? You know, this woman wants to have her salary increased by 29%, but she refuses to say what her salary is. She expects taxpayers to fund it. She won't tell us what she did in 2008, which she says she wants, you know, her pay parity to be. You know, they're having a laugh, aren't they?
Of course. And of course, the reason why they are doing that is because the government gave in to union pressure last year. I mean, This is no surprise. This was entirely predictable that they were going to do this. When you reward disruptive tactics, you only encourage more of them. And West Streeting is now facing the reality of a health system where expectations have been inflated, but the funding and reforms of the NHS just aren't there to be able to make sure that everything is on a sustainable path. So the message to every union was clear: hold out, strike, and you'll get a deal. But that's not sustainable governance, is it? It's just a recipe for more repeated disruption. And who ends up paying for it? The patient pays for it, the taxpayer pays for it, as they do every single time.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely shameful. But the government, as you say, have let this happen because they rather stupidly fell for the oldest trick in the book, which was that they bought the idea that, you know, if they gave a bucket load of money, 22% last August, I think it was, to the BMA, that they would all go away and play nice. But of course, they've just come back for more because everybody could have told them that they'd do that.
But everybody also knows, Mike, that it's the unions that bankroll the Labour Party. So it's going to be incredibly difficult now for the Labour Party to simply not keep on giving in, because they know that otherwise they're going to hide into nothing from the unions themselves.
Yeah.
We've seen Unite, rumours of Unite, perhaps looking to stop funding the Labour Party and actually back Jeremy Corbyn's party. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Well, I mean, Jeremy Corbyn is putting a massive hole into the Labour Party. I mean, you and I both would be probably quite surprised to know that he had such influence these days, but apparently he does, because there are so many lefties in the Labour Party now still that they'd rather have Jeremy Corbyn at the helm than Keir Starmer. Because everybody, I mean, the one thing that Keir Starmer's managed to do is unite the country in hatred of him.
Yes, that's right. But one more thing about West Streeting. I mean, I read one of the articles he wrote or one of the interviews he gave where he said he now wants the doctors to feel the pain. And I'm just thinking that is really unwise language. I don't want doctors to feel the pain because I know that ultimately if they are inflamed even more and put out to feel the pain, patients will feel it. But what you need is a professional health secretary that gets people out there, does hold out, does make sure that they get value for money for the taxpayer, but hopefully understands that the mistakes of the past, and they must not give in now, I'm afraid.
No, that's the problem. But, I mean, how does it end, though? Because if they don't give them any more money, it's a 5-day strike now. I mean, I seem to remember under the Tories, they were on strike pretty much for almost a year. They were sort of in and out of them, wouldn't they? They would suddenly announce we're going to be off for 5 days here, 3 days there, but it more or less ran for an entire year, which did terrible damage to waiting lists, did terrible damage to the NHS. I mean, this particular stoppage supposedly is going to cost already about 87 million quid, you know, but if the government doesn't have any money, which it doesn't have, you know, how do they solve it?
Well, I'm afraid they're just going to have to take the bitter pill, and doctors are going to have to be told either you come back to work or you might have to be looking for a job elsewhere, and your careers could well be hampered moving forward. It's the sad old adage now, you know, so much damage was done last year. Had they not given in to their every whim last year, there'd have been a better negotiating basis for this year.
Yes, I think that's right. And let's move on to the front page of the Sun this morning, which is the latest twist in the migrant tale. You know, the Reform, of course, have got all sorts of reasons why for them, this is the #1 story at the moment in town. Migrant gangs with free hotel rooms shoplift from top stores. We learned yesterday there's 80,000 migrants who have got a card which they're given, which allows them to spend something like £50 a week. I've worked out that it costs to the Exchequer something like like £4 million pounds a week, about 200 million plus a year. We now find out that there's a gang of these characters who stay in a hotel for free in North London. Every morning they wake up, they travel down into the West End, and they basically steal, and they can't be arrested because they can't give any details of who they are.
Mike, this is something that makes me feel ill, honestly.
Yeah.
It sends my blood pressure skyrocketing every time I hear it, and I can't be alone in feeling this way. The country is sick to death of hearing about these stories now, and it is perfectly within the gift of this government, just as it was in the gift of the last Tory government as well, to put this to a stop. We should not have them in hotels. We should have Nightingale-type detention centres, as we did when we built them for the NHS. Obviously, the hospitals, not detention centres. But we can build things very quickly when we want to. They should not be in hotels. They should not be in central London. And in fact, they should be processed overseas and sent back to France straight away. You know, this has been my personal message, even when I was a Conservative, but you know it's the Reform message and always has been. It's absolutely sickening. And this government should actually be held to task now, because since they came to power, it's actually much worse than for as bad as it was during the Tory years.
Yeah, it really is. And somehow it seems to have deteriorated, rather like the state of the nation, rapidly in the last 12 months. You know, since Labour have got in, it seems to have got a lot worse, which can only lead me to believe, and I know that you're not a Tory anymore, but the Rwanda plan possibly would have worked. You know, it was showing signs of degrading to some extent, at least the numbers of people coming over. But now we've got record numbers coming over every single week. Thousands and thousands and thousands will come over the course of the summer. It looks as though probably more than 50,000 will come over the course of the 12 months of 2025. And it's just not sustainable. We can't handle it anymore.
Mike, it's like the drug trade. If there's a lot of money involved, gangsters, criminal leaders will always find a new way, even if the police and enforcement agencies break them temporarily. They will always find a new way. The only way to deal with this is by cutting off demand. Cutting off demand means the migrants themselves don't want to come anymore. And there is only one way to do that. And there must be a very clear message going out there. Come to the UK illegally, you will be detained, you will be removed immediately, and you will not be considered for asylum in this country. That has to be the message. And the only way you can actually achieve that is by processing their asylum applications overseas. And that's what Rwanda wanted to do. I know Starmer derided it and all the rest of it. He never gave it a chance of working.
Yeah.
Now, quite frankly, I was one of those people, together with Bill Cash and a few other Conservative MPs, who wanted to make the Rwanda bill at the time much, much tighter. Rishi Sunak didn't want to do it. And I think that probably explains the reason why he went for an early election in July, so he didn't see all of the boats coming over through the summer. And I can't explain any other reason why he would have called an election when he did, because he took every single Conservative MP by surprise, aside from those, you know, from his inner circle who were happy to bet on it.
Yes. Well, the other thing, of course, that we wonder whether he was motivated by was the worry about this super injunction on the Afghan refugees who were coming in by the tens of thousands, which he knew was happening, but which very few other people did. And you wonder whether, you know, that was part of his motivation as well.
Parliament is sovereign, Mike, which means that every single MP is protected by law to say anything they want in the chamber. Even the courts cannot overrule that position. So anybody could have said what was going on with this super injunction. And what happened with that super injunction was to keep a secret what was going on behind the general public's view. So billions were being spent. There was a huge cock-up that was made. Nobody has paid the price for it, and everything was hidden from the public. There must be an inquiry into what has happened there. I won't let that go. It's an utter disgrace, and this super injunction politicians should not hide behind it, because if they felt it was wrong at the time, and if they are saying it is wrong now, they should have spoken up inside that chamber at the time, because that's what gives, it's called parliamentary privilege.
Yes.
And you can only do so in the chamber, and they could have spoken out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Great to see you again, Marco. Good to hook up again. We'll have to get you on more. Marco Longhi there, Reform UK now, defected from the Tory party, former Conservative MP, of course, as well.